And the emotional resonance of the brand. I think that that's so hard to communicate virtually. That's so hard to communicate online in a way that I think people really crave that in-person realness. And like here, you're putting this trip as like, oh, this is this trip. This is this thing. I'm going to do this. It's going to be a week and then it's going to be over. I think this rebrand is giving you the opportunity to just stretch that experience like a big, like all encompassing, just like this feeling doesn't have to go away. Like this being a part of this group, being a part of this movement and being a part of this mission and vision is like that those can maintain. And I think having those stats on your website of like roommates turned best friends and group chat still active and like that's the belonging that I think people really crave. And I think that that's, yes, you're having these hallmark experiences and these lifelong experiences, but how does the brand then become something bigger than itself?
Kiss my aesthetic, branding, marketing, entrepreneurship.
Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. I've been waiting for this episode for so long because I feel like you and I talk every day. So now everyone gets to hear you. Hi, Allie.
Hi. What's going to happen when we're like out of this launch mode and we're not going to be able to talk every day?
Oh, see, the trick is you think you're getting rid of me and you're not. That's the problem.
But like, I literally feel the exact same way. I'm like, Michelle can never get rid of me. I am like attached to the hip with you forever, for life. We're lifers
We are
now.
in it. We are. So for anyone who doesn't know you, which at this point I don't know how, but can you tell us who you are, what you do, and who you help?
I'm Alle Pierce. I am the founder of the Galavant Society, which this is, I think, the first time I've ever said that because we're recording this on launch day. So it feels really cool to be finally able to say that and put that out into the world. I also like to call myself the CGO, the Chief Gallavanting Officer.
I like that.
Just for funsies. But what we do is we curate travel experiences for the fabulously curious. And that was a tagline that you helped me come up with. But like, what does that actually mean? So we kind of have two legs of our business. First and foremost, like our bread and butter, the thing that we really got started with, which is curating these group trips for women. And now we call them group Galavants. And so we host and really plan from top to bottom these amazingly immersive group trips that happen all over the world, from India to Egypt to Jordan to Italy to Greece, all over. We're taking small groups of women all around the world. But the new thing that's really exciting, aside from just becoming the Galavant Society and the new website, is we're also now offering private travel planning. And this is really kind of getting back to the start of our business and how we all got started, which is thanks to my mom, Mama Linda, who has been a luxury travel advisor for the last 15 plus years. So now, on top of offering these group trips just for women, we now are offering travel planning services to everyone. So couples, honeymooners, multi-generational family trips to wherever you want in the world, we can help you plan it and really kind of infuse the level of detail that we're known for in our group trips, also in our private travel planning services as well.
Oh my gosh, yes. And we've been working together for a minute and we're going to recap all of that. But before we get into how we started working together, let's get your backstory. Let's lay the foundation here. Did you ever know that you were going to be this girl that was going to own this fabulous travel company? Because I don't think we're about the same age, but when you're in middle school, elementary school, like there's just so many jobs now that exist that I don't think I ever like conceptualized in my brain as a young person. So tell us how you got to here.
Yeah, I have to tell you just quickly, I never imagined I'd be doing what I am doing right now. I had dreams of being a backup dancer. I grew up dancing. I had dreams of being an actress. For one point in time, I wanted to be an interior designer, which I know your mom is. I'm terrible at that, turns out. And I really genuinely thought I was going to be like the next Juliana Rancic and doing all these red carpet Hollywood interviews. That's actually what I went to school for. I studied broadcast journalism, and I really wanted to go into that kind of field. And I worked in Palm Springs as a TV news anchor and reporter for many, many years. And the funny thing about all of this is when you're living what you think is supposed to be your dream life and you have this realization like, oh, damn, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. And the funny thing is my mom, who is very much a huge part of our business, Mama Linda, she has been a luxury travel advisor for the last 15 plus years. And I remember when I was reaching that point, this was like 2017, 2018, when I was working in TV, being just like completely ground down over it, ready for a change. She was like, you could always kind of like work and travel and do what I do. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, that sounds nice, but like, I don't know. But then as I was sitting in the news anchor chair at 3:30 in the morning on Saturdays and Sundays being like, I hate my life. And I would see her jetting off to places like India, Bhutan, Uganda, everywhere. I was like, damn, that looks so much better than what I'm doing right now.
I
So
love
no,
that. Don't you
Little
love
Allie
when
never
moms are right?
anticipated this. Yeah,
I
moms are
know.
always right.
Oh my gosh. And what a crazy kind of trajectory too, because like I think that the timing of our businesses is very curious, of course, with social media and being someone who is like naturally comfortable in front of a camera, which you are. I literally texted the reel today to my family being like, wow, I need to get some more clients with television experience because this is great. um, this is wonderful. But talk about that kind of like I feel like life happens when you make other plans, right? And the jobs that you take along the way or the little experiences or little side quests that you go on, they actually end up being superpowers in what you end up doing. Do you feel like that broadcast lens helped you in those early days of travel? And if so, how?
1000%. And it's funny, like, even though I say I really was not happy as a TV news reporter and in broadcast journalism, if I could go back and do everything over again, I wouldn't change a thing because that experience in so many ways shaped me as a person and helped me in what I'm doing right now. Just going to school for journalism, I know how to tell a story. I know how to, marketing in a way or tease things out as we've been just teasing the launch of the Galavant Society for the last week. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, just tell me what it is. Well, I remember when we had to tease news stories like coming up at 5 o'clock, la 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 la. So, in a weird way, all of that experience, I was also a one woman show when I worked in journalism. Like, people assume that when you work in TV, you've got a cameraman, you've got a producer, you've got whatever. No, all me. I was shooting my own stories. I was editing my own stories. I was writing my own stories. I was doing everything, even sometimes operating my own live shots. And so all of that experience now, in a strange way, has been translated to social media with like creating reels and putting this all on social and building this community in that way. And also in like the crazy side of things where I was introduced to a lot of insane scenarios and a lot of high stress, high pressure situations that were oftentimes not at all great. And so travel, while it's fabulous, also can be very stressful, also can have so much that just by the nature of it goes sideways or things happen, flights get canceled, plans changed. And I can really just maintain such a level of cool, calm, and collected. And you'll see me in these stressful situations, smiling and making sure everyone's okay because it's nothing in the grand scheme of things when compared to what I
Sure.
used to have to deal with.
Of course, of course. All superpowers that come into play. At what point did you realize like, okay, so now you've left the news world, broadcast world, and you're coming to work with Mama Linda. You're like, okay, here we go. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. At what point did you realize like, oh, dang, maybe I could like host a group trip? Because that's intimidating. I remember talking to you and being like, how do you know that everyone that's going to go on the trip is going to be cool? Now, having met a bunch of people at the launch party, I was like, oh, well, this is a no-brainer. but that's would be my concern is like, oh man, that's intimidating again to like throw a bunch of people on a trip together. It could be, I mean, it's very ripe for a reality TV show, but talk to me about how you knew what was that tipping point that's like, oh man, I could really see myself doing this.
And honestly, that question is kind of twofold. So I'm going to start by how I saw myself doing this. And it
Mm-hmm.
really, it started by in order to be able to plan travel or plan these trips is you need experience. You need to go to these places. And that is such a core foundation to our business is experiencing all these different destinations that we host trips in. And so I was just traveling with Mama Linda and sharing it all on social media and kind of building this community with not really the idea that I would ever do something like this, but just sharing it to be a resource. And I started getting messages from a lot of women, and this was also in pandemic times where I was kind of sharing past travels where they're like, Would you ever do a group trip? Like, would that ever be something that you would think about? And I literally still have the DM from one of the girls who sent it to me February 2020 and was like, I think you
Wow.
should think about doing this. And I was like, funny enough, the plans are already being made. We're going to be hosting our first group trip. And lo and behold, she was one of our first travelers on that first trip. She's since traveled with us 3 times. And I even have this little lovely bouquet that she just
Oh,
literally sent me today,
how
thanking me
sweet.
for just changing her life and so many people's lives with these experiences. So that's kind of how I knew there was interest. But in terms of like curating that dynamic. And I think that's what's so unique about the women that join us on our group trips is I feel as if they are from so many different walks of life, so many different age groups, so many different careers. We've got entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, moms, like just all these different walks of life. But the one thing they all have in common is the fact that they want these incredible experiences and they're so over waiting for any reason to be able to experience these magical different destinations.
So this starts, you get on this first trip, and then at what point does like the brand name come into play? Because Gals Abroad Getaways, I think I first found your handle because my friend Lauren, like Girl Gone Abroad, it's like they're all these like
Go
alliteration names. And
girl.
I'm like, wait, is this affiliated? And she's like, no, that's somebody else. And I was like, oh, okay. But tell me a little bit about how you found that original business name and then started kind of running things more legit.
So I had a travel blog, Alle Abroad, and my dear friend Kelly Go Lightly, she has an amazing blog based in Palm Springs, and I kind of think of her as one of my big sisters. When I was thinking about leaving the TV station, I sat down with her, being like, I want to do a travel blog, but what do I call it? And so we like had this back and forth over cocktails. Alle Abroad was born, and so when it came time to like create this kind of sister brand, Gals Abroad Getaways, I was like, well, there's the abroad in there, gals, because we're gals abroad, getaways. And it wasn't as anything more fancy than that. But I really wanted I love the gal nature of the gals abroad getaways, but even just like talking about our name and not to jump ahead, but I remember when we started talking about all the things and you're
Uh-huh.
like, do you like your name? I was like, well, I thought I liked my name,
I
but do
thought so.
you like my I feel like that's
Oh,
a deeper
man.
question.
I never want to be the person that just assumes. That's the hardest thing because in a way, like even just me retelling this now, I like couldn't even. I was like, gals, I know it's something girl abroad. Like there's just so many like alliteration-y sounding. And I'm like, I really just think you could pump this to the next level. So when I even like planted that seed, which I do with you quite often, is I'm like, hey, you don't have to act on this idea right now, but I'm just gonna leave this here and like walk away. And then I'll
Planting
come
seeds.
back and then I will come back and it will have grown into a beautiful flower. But yes, the brand name idea. Let's go first to how we started connecting over and working together was over merch actually. And we started down this whole road and you're like, "Hey, I really want help with merch." I was like, "No worries, I can do that in my sleep. I love merch." And we started going and then where did you feel like or what were some of the things that I said to you early in that process that you're like, wait a minute, maybe we're doing this out of order?
Well, Michelle, I just have to like even go back further than that because our origin story starts from I think like 2020 or 2021 when I ordered my first hotel lobby candle and I
Oh
remember being
yeah.
so obsessed. I actually might even still have it. I hope I do. I do. It's in a
Oh my
drawer.
gosh.
I still have it. I ordered this candle and I was so impressed by the packaging and this little thing, which is like the key card that has burning instructions. And I remember being like, who did this? Whoever did this, I need to find her. And when I have the money to invest in my website, my brand in that way, I will hire her. So I Nancy Drewed it and found you, went down the rabbit hole and was like, okay, we're going to do this. Cause I knew I don't want to throw shade on my website because it was the only thing I could afford
No, it made it work. Yeah,
when, when I was making $30,000 a year as
of
a TV
course.
news reporter, but I knew we needed to up level in that way. And so I found the key card and the rest is kind of history in that way in us working together. But I remember wanting to start with merch in 2023. But I remember vividly saying to you, like, I hate my logo. I made it in Canva. I don't think anyone wants this on any merch. Like, and I know my clients very well, and they love our business and they love what we provide, but I don't envision them wearing a t-shirt that has Gals Abroad Getaways and the little, like, it was
Right.
cute. It was what I could do when I was cobbling it all together, but I knew I needed something more. And so we started with the merch, which then what did you wind up saying to me? You're like, we're
You
doing
know,
this.
it was the call that I posted, and that's exactly why I went back to that specific call, because I could remember you being like, you were at your wits end. You're like, I am so fucking overwhelmed. I have so much going on. I can't even think straight. If we need to, if we need to like scrap this and like do this legit, that's what we need to do. That's fine. I just want access to your brain. I want you to freaking do it. I want you to do it right. I'm tired of like da 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 back and forth. And I was like, oh, in the bag. I was like, we got this figured out, because I think you had all the right intentions, which was, I want to celebrate this business and celebrate my clients, and I want to give them something that makes them feel like they're part of something. But without those foundational brand pieces, the color palette, the fonts, the styles, the aesthetic, the mission, the values, like, we were chasing stuff that felt like more you might find it at Target or Home Goods, and not creating things that felt like it was a part of something. And I am a big fan of like, let's not just make stuff for stuff's sake, but let's make stuff that people actually want and that makes them feel a type of way. And you can't just do that without those like the branding part of it. So I think once we kind of got to that place and I was like, hey, take all the time you need, get through your busy season. Let's address this when we have like the mental gymnastics, pun intended, to do so, which came a lot from our conversations in I feel like in the travels that we've passed over with each other.
I know. What a fun little lead in gymnastics. We were
Uh-huh.
hanging out at the Paris Olympics where I was working at the gymnastics portion of the competition, and like just having these little moments where I think these are so many conversations you and I have had recently, is the importance of that in-person interaction, because Zoom calls are fantastic. We're all in a virtual world, but when you can sit down and have those brain shares and just kind of like rattle off ideas, masterminding in that way, that just takes things to the next level. And I feel so incredibly lucky to have been able to utilize your brain in so many different ways, and so many times that we've hung out in real life in that way, that I think it benefited the both of us. Like, you learned so much
Completely.
about my
Completely.
brand, and I
Completely.
got so many gems from you in that way. I say this to anyone who asks. There is no one whose brain works the way that you do, and no one
Oh my
who
gosh.
is so invested in everyone's different brands, not just my brand, but all of the brands that you work with. And just like, it's not just slapping on colors and, okay, here's a new logo and website. It is
Right.
deeply understanding not only the business, but their clients and what the clients want and need most.
But this was something that came up for me over the weekend of like meeting all of your people too, is like the best part of my job is I get to live all these different lives. And like I was also a theater kid and also like hosted the little local news in my elementary school. And like I loved the make believe of like fully getting invested into someone else's like life and vision and mission and goals. And I ended up saying it to the real estate group. It's like the thing that I would do, even if I got paid $0 a year, is I love figuring out what's someone trying to communicate that they're not getting across. Where there's a puzzle in that, right? Like there's a puzzle in that I'm doing this and it feels so good and everybody loves it, but it just, why can't I get it to look the way that it feels? And that to me is like such a fun puzzle, because I have the technical skills to be able to execute on that. And just to your point, like the physical, like you wouldn't have found me if you didn't have the physical key card from the hotel lobby candle. And like even if you saw it posted on Instagram, oh, that's fun, they make a key card, like a hotel key card to go with the candle, it doesn't have the same resonance as physically holding something in your hand. And for me, travel is the ultimate heightened sensory experience. And I love travel, and I always have loved travel, because to me it's the sights, sounds, colors, textures, culture, music, like it's just life on fire. And so to be able to like channel that, I think what I love about your business is like it's that this is the kind of business I want to be a part of. This is the thing I believe in. This is like not only just like a cool project and it looks cool, but this is like a mission and vision in a world I want to be a part of. It's like people that care about these things and that they're looking to expand their mind by getting uncomfortable and being in a place where they're not necessarily like they don't speak the language. They're not used to the food. They've never seen the sights. They're seeing the art and they're seeing everything and coming back a better person for it. That was like a really long manifesto, but that's where I
No,
feel I'm invested in so much in this company.
everything I'm hearing you say is just so in line with what we do, because I think when we talk about group trips, and that's really the bread and butter of our business is group trips for women. There are so many companies out there that
Right.
do group travel. So many, so many, so many companies. And I think for our business, what I have learned, because it wasn't the fancy logo, it wasn't the fancy website, it wasn't all of those things that made our business special. What made us special and what got us to the point where we have a 51% rate of return. We have these women who are going on a trip a year, if not multiple trips a year, is not only the experiences that we curate, which are next level, but it is the community that these women experience. And it is in a testament to that 30 plus women traveled from all over the country for our launch weekend. I was shocked. I thought 5 people would come. And I mean, I know that these women are invested, but the thing that we are providing to them is this community, is this sisterhood of sorts. And how I know that it works is they are now with the people that they've met on these trips. Like right now, as we're recording this, I think 8 of them who were at the launch weekend are in Maine right now on a
Uh-huh.
trip, having the
Uh-huh.
best time. There were
Uh-huh.
women that went to Mexico earlier this year. They go on weekend trips to visit one another. And I think so often, sometimes, like the power of female friendships is made
Yes.
to feel like, oh, like that's cute, like your girly colors and like blah, 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 whatever. But it's so much deeper than that, because look at what all of these women are choosing to do with their time, their money, their, everything like that. They're investing in these experiences that I have the immense privilege of curating for them.
Of course. Of course. Oh, this is all like the good juicy stuff
I
that
feel
makes
like
us
I
so
have like
happy.
preach hands right now. I'm like,
Yes,
okay.
same. Same. You all know how much I love a brag-worthy brand, and when it comes to creating stickers and labels that elevate your branding, Sticker Giant is the brand that you can trust. Whether you're looking to create something for fun for your next launch, elevate your brand, or add a little extra flair to your packaging, Sticker Giant's custom stickers and labels help your brand get noticed in all the right ways. They've got a dedicated team handling every detail, so you can count on Sticker Giant to bring your designs to life just the way that you imagined. And Sticker Giant stickers and labels are proudly made in the US of A. If you're ready to give your brand that extra boost, go to stickergiant.com and use promo code KMA25 for 25% off your first order. Sticker Giant, your partner in the sticker and label business. So, knowing all this context, and again, like being able to learn this over the last few years of working with you, what prompts, besides me planting the seed and being like, you cool with your name? Or like, could we change it? How did you know, like, okay, fine, Michelle, we'll do this. Like, it's time to rebrand and I want you to just take it and run with it?
You know, I think I always knew our website was almost like a holding place. I mean, it wasn't
Sure.
even galsabroadgetaways.com. It was
.com.
Allie Abroad / Gals Abroad Getaways. Like this is just, and I'll be completely candid. Like I built this business with
Yeah.
no financial investment aside from my own. Every dollar that I earned has up until this point gone back into the business and traveling and scouting for these future trips. So I knew this was going to be an investment, something that I needed to save and plan for. And so, and the thing about it is I really wanted a brand that matched the level of luxury of the
Yes.
service that we provide. We
Yep.
provide white glove, high end, 5-star luxury, like not stuffy travel, but these are
Yes.
highly curated, highly immersive experiences at, on our India trip. We're staying at former royal palaces. We are literally taking our client's hand from the very beginning and walking them through the entire experience and doing everything for them, which is a very luxurious experience. But I did not feel like my website or my name or my look or anything matched the level of luxury of the service that we provided. And it got to the point where I was just embarrassed to tell people about our website. Like I would never really
Yeah.
point them there. I was like, it's fine. It serves a
Yeah.
purpose. Like, but I'm not proud to say, go look at our
Right.
website, go look at our socials in that
Right.
way. So that was kind of
Right.
what prompted me.
And I think your brand is a giant case study in luxury does not have to be boring.
Not at
We're,
all,
like,
girlfriend.
quite the opposite of, like, bland. Like, people say luxury brand, and you think, like, lots of white space and, like, dainty little gold logo. No. Like,
No,
we
ma'am.
went full bore, personal style, color explosion, somewhere between, like, 1970s, 60s, 70s Palm Springs and Morocco and Amalfi Coast and India and, like, all of these worldly influences that is just, like, again, like, sensory explosion. I think that's what makes this so fun. But how much do you feel like your personal style, Allie, like, is now reflected in the brand, whereas maybe it wasn't before?
1000%. I mean, as I know this is podcast and
Yes.
also YouTube. So for the people watching, I'm wearing one of the scarves that we have made.
Uh-huh.
Maybe we can get into that in a little bit. I've got my nails, our brand color. Like your girl loves color. And I think, the brand now is such an elevated reflection of that because I think one of the early conversations that you and I had quite frequently was I teeter between being childish and being luxurious with the color palette. And it's like you have to strike this very fine balance of, things feeling like they're elevated, like they're luxurious, but you're not looking at like a children's book, if you will.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think you so perfectly found that balance. It was a bit of a give and take on those colors. You probably wanted to murder me at some points because I was
Not
like,
at all. Nope.
I don't like this color. I don't like this color. But what we have found now is beyond my wildest dreams.
It clicked. It just makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. And I think I do want to tell the scarf story because this is a thing. Sometimes when I work with clients, I just don't ask for permission and I just do things. And then I say, here, I made this. And it reminds me of when I was like 12, when I'd be like, we used to have this like crawl away attic that we'd call the sneak out. My parents like decked it out in like purple carpet and green walls. And like we kept all of our craft supplies up there. And I used to just like be up there for hours and hours and hours and hours. And I'd come downstairs and be like, here, I made this. And I just like drop it on people's desk and be like, isn't it great? Don't you love it? And I totally did that to you with the silk scarf idea. Because to me, a silk scarf is the perfect travel accessory. It weighs virtually nothing. You feel so fabulous. I saw how many scarves you own, and I was like, we just have to do this. So talk me through the scarf.
I have always, it's like you jumped into my brain and you knew because even on my little vision board, I wrote silk scarves. Like that just seemed like
Amazing.
such a down the road type of thing, but you made it happen in the blink of an eye. And I remember you sending me those mock-ups while I was on a trip in Greece. And with the time difference, we don't go out drinking all that much, but there's one night where we have a late night. And so I think it was like 1 in the morning. I was with a few girls and I was like, look at
Oh
what
my
she
gosh.
did. I love them. I'm obsessed. I feel like we're talking about the scarf.
We
So
are. We're going to
unfortunately,
QVC it for the YouTube.
for the podcast peeps, I'm sorry about you, but for this is your excuse to watch this
Yes.
on YouTube. And
Uh-huh.
like I just, as you said, it's such a versatile thing. You could wear it as a top. I wear these often in my hair when we have boat days to kind of like tie the hair back. I tie it on my totes, on my suitcase. And I think what was so brilliant about your idea with the scarf is this is like that talking piece. This is the thing that when people see this in the airport or on someone's bag, they're like, oh my gosh, that's cute. And then it gets those women connecting on, oh, what's that? Tell me about this travel company. Oh my gosh, you made some amazing friends. Well, I want to go and do this too. And so I don't know if I should like spoil the surprise or just, go, we're going to let it rip. So what we're going to do is we're going to curate a different scarf for each of the trips that we're hosting. And so it's almost like a collector's item in that way. You will only get these scarves if you travel with us on a trip. And each scarf is going to be kind of a representation of the destination that we visit and have sort of a nod to either prominent female figures, woman figures in that culture or in that destination. And I've already seen three
Three.
of the future scarves. And
Uh-huh.
I'm geeked. And when we did a little unboxing at the launch party and just looking at all of the gals who they love scarves just as much as I do, and seeing them being like, oh my gosh, it's like it's not just a baseball cap or a tote
Sure.
bag, although
Sure.
those are amazing and we have those too. But
Yep.
this is just like such a completely on brand
Mhm.
item for us.
Well, and this is where it makes sense to, number one, have all the colors in your color palette, because then what I'm hoping to move you towards is to help standardize and kind of consistently offer the same experience, but then incrementally get better. And we've seen this with our clients that we've worked on retainer with. So, like Dental Hygiene Nation is a great example of this. They send out their quarterly subscription box. And when we first started working with us, they're like, "Oh yeah, our theme is checkers." And I'm like, "Well, checkers is not a theme, guys. Like purple is not a
Theme
theme.
is
Like,
fun.
can we get into a theme?" And again, I'm always searching for, like, I love, like, Taylor Swift for this reason, like the Easter egg of it all, right? Like, how can we start to create the things that people who are the super freaks, fans of your brand, can get so much, like, joy out of knowing what's what? Like, and I'm always looking for those opportunities. So with Dental Hygiene Nation, it was like, okay, let's get you on a production schedule. Let's see how long it takes to actually design and execute and then promote and then sell these things, so that we have a better timeline and so that it frees your brain up to make better business decisions. And I know I've told you, I know you and Caitlin even connected about this, but in Caitlin's last episode on the podcast, we talked about how having structure as a business owner, especially as a creative, gives you more mental real estate to make harder, better decisions. And if I can help offload that by the design side of things. So my big vision for you guys is like, okay, you have these 6 signature trips. Let's really zero in on how to make them special. Let's really zero in on what is that super, super unique thing that, yes, the scarves is part of it, but like, how do we promote and summarize and share about it in a way that's like so unmistakably you that you have no competition because you end up category of one. Do you know what I mean? You're nodding along, so I feel like it's resonating some,
No,
it's sinking in.
it's totally sinking in, but I'm also back on Caitlin, and I'm also back on the
Yes.
power of the MKW universe, because Caitlin is the reason why I have a bookkeeper.
There you go. Love that. Yeah.
And I remember you connected us to talk about
Yep.
merch and things like that, but I remember getting on a call with her similar to our 2023 call where I was at my wit's end. I was like, I need someone to help with all of my books. And she's like, well, hire my bookkeeper. And so it's just, I know I totally digressed from what you were talking about, which is just like creating these like incredible mementos and things that really make your brand stand out. But I think it's also just the power of everyone working in their zone of genius. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
we're a brand of, or we're a company that's run by all women, but 3 women. And so I started the business with my mom, Linda, who's been in the industry for 15 years. And there'd be no way that I would have this business if it were not for her experience and expertise and literally answering every single stupid question I had when I started this, reading over every single email I sent when I launched this business. But there got to a point where, and I think so many entrepreneurs will understand this experience, where I was like, I cannot grow this business if I am doing all of the things. And
Nope.
one of the things I needed massive help with when we're running these trips where we might have anywhere between 10 to 20 women on them. At that time it was 3 trips a year, so not that much, but it was a lot of client communication. And so I remember just putting it out into the universe. I'm like, I need someone to help me. And lo and behold, that's how we found Bria, who's been such a huge part of our team, who deals with all of the client communication and is now a travel designer and is doing part of our private travel planning with my mom, Linda. But like, it's just one of those things where it's like work in your zone of genius. And the funny thing is I curate these group trips, but my zone of genius is not doing what Linda and Bria do with the private travel planning. That takes a different kind of personality. My personality really works well with planning these group trips and being the one who kind of almost is like a thought leader in that way of like, this
Yeah,
is what we're doing,
absolutely.
are you in, versus someone who's hiring us for private travel planning. It's a much more how do I want to say, like, give and take relationship where it's like, I think I want
Customer
to go
centric.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Collaborative in that way, back and
yeah,
forth.
yeah.
Yeah.
So to your point, it's just, I think in any entrepreneur's journey, you reach that point where you're like, I can't do it all and I need to outsource. And this rebrand, this website would have never got done if I was hobbling it all together. And it wouldn't have looked at all like what you have put together, not in the
And it
slightest.
is one of the coolest websites we've ever worked on, I think. I'm so happy with how it turned out. It feels so, like, specific to your brand. It feels so craft. It feels so just attuned to the details. God bless ChatGPT for a lot of the code injection special effects that I was able to pull off because
Bravo.
that was exciting. But also, like, to be able to build out your long form sales page, which people haven't even seen the trip pages yet. But when they do, I think they're going to flip, not only for the functionality, but for the design, for the just the how organized all the information is. It just gives you that level of trust when information is presented beautifully and visually that makes you feel like, oh yeah, this is easily worth the investment. Like, I sent it to my mom last night and she's like, sold, where do I put in my money? And I was like, great. I was like, let's go to India, mom. Like, she literally, I'm sure she looked at the page for like 0.6 seconds and was like, yeah, sold. Like,
I oh my
easy.
honestly, I have to say India's is our trip that I am probably most passionate about because I think it's a destination that isn't at the top of everyone's bucket list, and I think
Yeah.
it kind of it strikes a chord in certain people and makes them feel some type of way. But what I can tell you is when we hosted our first India trip last year with 13 women, every single one of them finished that trip and was like, when can we go back?
Wow.
And India is not a destination like Italy where it's like, I'm going a bunch of times. I think
Sure.
genuinely in the business, I think of India as like that once in a lifetime bucket list trip. You're going one time. All of those women had such an incredible experience and such an amazing time, not only just in the places that we stayed and the things that we did, but with the people we interacted with, that they were like, I want to go back. And having a website and a sales page that can so clearly paint the picture of
Yeah,
what we offer and the level of luxury and the level of service and the level of attention to detail, because that's really at the core of really well executed travel is attention to detail. There are so many
absolutely.
minute details you should see. It's easily probably 500 emails that go back and forth between me and whatever team I'm working with to put these trips together. And it is like follow up city. Hey, what about this? What about this? And it's not just putting the itinerary together. It's like curating small group dinners and
Mm-hmm.
organizing smaller groups to go and have a cooking experience at someone who is a member of the royal family in Udaipur, India, and you're at her house learning how to, you know, cook
Incredible.
these amazing dishes and sitting down to dinner with her and her husband. Like being able to have a website that reflects that is clearly, to your point, where your mom is ready to go on this trip, worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, so I will do another podcast episode when we review all of your sales numbers next year. And
Great.
we will break down all the analytics for what, but even just like, I think also I'm considering myself the customer because I was thinking of like trips that I'd go on with Wi-Fi Tribe or Outsite or like other travel groups. And I just remember thinking like, oh, here's my chance to like put all the things that I wish I had as a consumer. Like, here's my chance to really like embed this with the max functionality of a person who's like me, who's busy, but like wants to feel like they're spending their money in the right place and wants to like see it presented wonderfully. And I think this is really kind of just the beginning of all of that. But before we wrap, I would be remiss not to give an opportunity to recap the wedding that never was. And my own sneaky little internet haha pitch to you of this brand reveal because I'm just tickled that you like indulged me in this crazy idea. And so I did record a solo episode recapping why your brand reveal should be a party. And so like that has the tactical information of like things to think about and your venue and your touch points and your photo moments. So we don't need to get into that necessarily, but getting you to commit to a launch date, I think, was step one. Talk to me about how you got served my famous tagline, which is, well, what you could do is da 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 da. Da."
It's so funny because the wedding theme of it all is just it's actually so counter to the type
And
of
it's so
person that I
silly.
am.
Yes.
And the thing is like what I really stand for and what I preach online is really living kind of this unconventional, independent life. And I think there's so many women that really connect with that message and why so many of them are in our community. And so for me, like a wedding. I don't know if I'll ever get married, but I have always wanted to have a wedding because I wanted the experience of having all of my favorite people in the
Yes.
room at the same time, wearing a fabulous dress, doing all the fun things that I love when I get to attend weddings, just minus the actual like committing to someone for the rest of your life part,
Yeah.
part of the wedding. And so when you said, I think you should, debut this as the wedding, I'm like, this is actually so funny because it's so antithetical to what
Uh-huh.
would be doing, but it's so perfect to like kind of get people intrigued. And I have to tell you, the that night, that launch party, it genuinely did feel like a wedding.
It
And
sure did. Uh-huh.
like so, we had the photographers, we had the videographers, we had everyone, who flew in, wore these epic dresses, and it just
Mhm.
kind of felt like it. Honestly, though, like here's the difference. Yes, we were celebrating the brand, and I guess I am a part of the brand, and my mom
Mhm.
Liz is a part of the brand. But I feel like the celebration, it wasn't about me, it wasn't about a marriage, it was about all of the women that were
Yes.
there and all of these amazing friendships. And even just before we started recording, I was reading all of these posts of women who are saying like, I wanted to start prioritizing travel. I didn't really know how to do that. I found you guys. I thought I was just going on a trip, but what I learned is so much more than that. Is I'm walking away with these lifetime friendships, these memories I'm going to talk about for the rest of my life, and these incredible travel experiences that I probably would have never had if I had done this on my own. And so like
Yeah.
that wedding of sorts, that launch party was really a celebration for all the women that were there. And
Mhm.
and a celebration of gosh, just like fucking booking the trip.
Yeah, and the emotional resonance of the brand. I think that that's where that's so hard to communicate virtually. That's so hard to communicate online in a way that I think people really crave that in-person realness. And like here you're putting this trip as like, oh, this is this trip, this is this thing, I'm going to do this, it's going to be a week and then it's going to be over. I think this rebrand is giving you the opportunity to just stretch that experience and like a big like all encompassing just like this feeling doesn't have to go away, like
Yeah.
this being a part of this group, being a part of this movement and being a part of this mission and vision is like that those can maintain. And I think having those stats on your website of like roommates turned best friends and group chat still active and like that's the belonging that I think people really crave. And I think that that's, yes, you're having these hallmark experiences and these like these lifelong experiences, but how does the brand then become something bigger than itself? And I think we really pulled that off, and I think that this has a lot more staying power than a lot of weddings I've been to, so
We listen, we nailed it. And just one like kind of final wrap up point is like it just was so cool to be able to just totally spoil these women who
Yes.
are just so deserving of all of the goodies. And gift giving is my love language in that way. And so being able to, we see so often like influencers and creators going on these
Yes.
content trips, and I think my audience, my gal, they're not influencers, they're not content
Right.
creators, they are women who work in all these different fields that I mentioned earlier. But why should they not be the ones to get spoiled, to get showered with gifts, to have that experience of what it would be like to just be given all these things and be like, here, this is for you. I want to treat you to all of this sort of stuff. And so that as like a business owner, to be able to reach that point in my business where it's like I can invest in my clients in that way, that's
Well, and
so cool.
it's true gifting from a sense of wanting to share and not from a sense of expecting
Yes.
ROI. I think that that's such a big difference, and I think that's what people are so allergic to right now is this just, like, over the top displays of, again, like, the influencer that goes on every brand trip, and you're like, "Okay, there they are again," and it just doesn't have any connection versus, like, I want to give this to you because I know that you'll enjoy it, period, point
Done,
blank.
done. And it's,
That's it, you
case in
know?
point was how many women the next day showing up to the brunch the next day with their scarves styled in all the various different ways. And it's like, that's it. They genuinely want to wear this
Nailed
stuff.
it.
They don't feel
Yep.
obligated to.
Yep. Yep. Ugh, and then we'll have the scarves for the trips, then people get more invested. There's so much, like, exciting things coming down. This is literally just the beginning. And I know we're recording on launch day and we're both like on an absolute high. And I know we're going to sleep great tonight.
Or not at all. Sometimes I can't come down
Or
from
not at all.
the adrenaline high.
Honestly. But please plug yourself. Where can people find you, follow you, go on a trip, see the website, all the good
Yes,
stuff?
please go and check out Michelle's incredible work on the website, which is thegalavantsociety.com. And we spell Galavant, Galavant. I know there's another way to spell it, which I think is the correct way to spell it. But in
It
my
is.
mind, I was like, and I never was good at spelling. So I don't know, take it as you, however you want to take it. But I was like, oh, obviously, Galavant.
Gals. Yeah.
Anyways, so that's the website. And then find us over on Instagram, which I'm currently in the process of switching over our Instagram handle. So depending on when this episode drops, it either could still be Gals Abroad Getaways, but we're going to send good juju into the atmosphere that this is going to be an easy switch over. And I'm going to be able to do a little switcheroo of the Instagram handle that I've been sitting on for 2 years at this point, which is the Galavant Society. So either way, find us on Instagram.
Find us on Instagram. You can find them through our page. We'll make sure that all of her links are added into the show notes. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And if you love the episode, don't forget to send it to a friend that you want to travel with, because that would be a great way to get them introduced to the brand and also get a little peek at what we've been working on. Thanks, Allie, so much for your time.
Oh my God, thank you, Michelle. And I don't know, I'm just putting this out there, but I think you need to co-host one of our trips in the future.
I think it's a possibility.
Woo!
I think it's definitely a possibility. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
In your mind.
Yes. See, now it's reciprocal. Now look what I started. Exactly. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to send the episode to a friend, save it, share it, comment, leave a review, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.